Looks like we're back. Come on in here, our Fuse podcast. I see you. I see you. What we got going on? What's happening? All right, so I'm back in this motherfucker. I know it's been a while. Hope you guys have been enjoying the continuation of the Surviving Diddy series that we've got going on over here at the Fuse podcast. I'm gonna get into some more of that. Uh, where we picked up from Friday to yesterday. Keep in mind that it's a racketeering human trafficking case. Keep that in mind when I get into that point. But for right now, we're going to get into the small stuff. Whoever thought it was a good idea for this lady to get up in this jacket, blazer, whatever you want to call it, with no pants on, and start prophesizing to people and being a wannabe Juanita Bynum. I hope your axles fall off because what in the bejesus is this? I'm gonna zoom in. B Simone, which clearly at this point the B stands for be playing in people's faces. We don't went from your comedian that we saw Wildin' Out to you're trying to do a book that wasn't yours to some other mess. Now this is what you're doing. I kind of got off of the B Simone bus when she went from podcasting with her best friend slash assistant to up in one day. It was two separate podcasts. Never before have I seen to this degree multiple rebrands, and it's one that's not credible to me. Like it's not believable to me. I mean, you have some folks out there that have lived multiple lives, worked multiple jobs, um, and from their experience, they've been able to brand themselves as a life coach, self help. And it's hard for some of us out here to want to listen to that. But we're not talking about, Van Zandt. Some of us are headed, as you've seen on the show. But it's gotten to a point right now to where celebrities and celebrity adjacent people are slipping and sliding, just doing whatever. Now, if if you knew me, you would know that I am this lady right here. She probably charged some people a good amount of money. Who's the bigger fool for the audience? Who's the bigger fool? I would say the people that win. Are we that down bad in civilization in society? I know it's hard for some folks that we will actually. I'm going to theorize. Y'all paid money somewhere in the double digits, triple digits, because this is the girl from Wild and Out. And then you get there, it's in a church. It looks like a church of some kind. What is she talking about? Anybody in the audience tell me what she's talking about? We are down so bad that we are going to churchy events led by television celebrities. And I guarantee you that all those people in there have Twitter. So they know. I blame y'all. I blame y'all. We are barely out of the shadows of the Creflo Dollars and the Tony Robinson, Tony Robbins folks, and that Olstein fellow. We are barely out the shadows. I mean, as much as y'all hate capitalism, I haven't seen any traction made on churches, the money that they made going back into the parishioners, to the community. God forbid another natural disaster happens, and one of those same mega churches that you've been donating money to and going to the services for doesn't open their doors when there's like a flood or something. I blame y'all. Y'all let this slide through. Y'all let this get through. She got on these she got on these Daisy Dukes with this a Bennigan's hostess tie and this oversized Dick Tracy villain suit jacket on. Talking about what? What's she talking about? Somebody like y'all are the bigger fools for even paying money and going. Like I said, I'm this lady. I mean, I got a little bit of free time. You probably would have called me down there just to see what kind of foolishness they got going on. But trust to believe I'm side eyeing this because what kind of spiritual and religious whatever are you spitting out behind the mic, B Simone? There was a time that I was clocking to your little podcast, but I got off of that podcast once it got to you saying a whole bunch of nothing to the assistant slash best friend and just jumping ship, I guess. Somebody down in the comments said, this ain't nothing short of attention seeking, fame reaching, and it makes a whole lot of sense. But this is where we are. I would like to ask people in the audience though, what inspired y'all to go down there? Uh, anyway, another housekeeping item. Sometimes when I have these podcasts, I like to do housekeeping items. For those of you that are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, um, which I'm sure that's not all of my audience. And I appreciate everybody that comes in and subscribes and follows and hits those buttons. When you are at your good office job, right? You are at your good office job, you work your 40 hours a week, you go out to your car, and there's a flyer on your car. And it is for the DC Black Pride new house party. Nothing about this at this point is alarming. But when you got this part here that says fit black men only, what does it trigger something in you like it kind of does in me where it's like you don't need to meet the organizers. You just already kind of have it in your head that the organizers, on a small percentage scale, are my complexion. But on a grander scale, because fetishization of black men is a thing in the community, you could be like me and you're like, well, I don't know the organizers, but Betty White, Betty White, Betty White, Betty White, Betty White, Betty White. Just saying. It's 2025. I am a man of mixed race. However, the reality is my social cash and my social value is limited and reduced to size, um, build, and physical attributes. So much so that if I don't fit those narrow, limited areas to a T, I am disposable. That's what physicization is like. It don't matter that you're educated, it doesn't matter that you're accomplished. All that matters is if you are overly muscular, you are a size 9 or more, and I'm not talking shoe size, and your sole purpose is just for that. So I thought I'd talk about that. I hope the channel, the powers that be, don't kick me out for that little bit. I tried to make it brief. Moving on, and I'm gonna get into the Diddy case. In 2025, the last thing you want to be is homeless. The second thing, this is probably in the top 10, matter of fact, that you don't want to be in 2025 is horny. For you to be both, I'm just a legend. You are going to find yourself close to accommodations and close to indoor plumbing and lighting and electricity that won't be coming out of your pocket. Not a halfway house. It's not a homeless shelter. It is actually the police department. So, so here we are, May 21st, 2025, right? Y'all, y'all are making it hard for the rest of us out here that can't host, that cannot foo la la or do not want to foo la la on our good furniture, that we just want a quick slice while we're on route to another destination on the interstate or off the interstate. Y'all decide to take y'all asses to a family park to play with each other's wee wees. What's going on? Is it that bad? Like, I know y'all like to get all up in the comments. Y'all like to tussle about, well, don't yuck anybody's yum. Indecent exposure is exactly that, and it is a crime. That will definitely come with a fine that a lot of y'all probably can't afford, time away from work that you can't afford. There's a time and a place for everything, and broad daylight is not the starting point. Um, then you got the nerve to have this black shirt on. What what are we doing? And in my eyes, I can tell by the shoes that this was supposed to be a quick drive by, right? A quick drive by, no, no strings attached. Those shoes are kind of cute though. Those shoes are kind of cute. Um, a couple of pairs of slides. Y'all really. Mm-mm. So for those of y'all that are kind of not hip to the world of cruising, just about any public place can be open for cruising, right? But the point is not to be as sloppy as this. Um, there are, well, you probably can't use the app off of the App Store anymore because iPhone has shut it down. There's this app called Sniffies. Just about any public place is a cruising spot. And it's very, very risky because all these spots have cameras. A lot of y'all don't have tinted back windows. And if you're not smart about it, you could end up like Blessed over here, who is in an unblessed situation. Wegmans, Home Depot, Lowe's, any park and ride, any welcome center on the interstate, um, the mall bathroom, trying to figure out what else. Oh, what else? What else? What else? What else? But you got to be like covert about. That's the other thing. If you want cruise in broad daylight, do it from your car, and don't do it at a family park. That's all I got for housekeeping items. I'm gonna keep it pushing. So we up here talking about the Diddy case, right? We did about 4 or 5 videos talking about the Diddy trial. So picking up where we left off, the last video on the channel is based off of Monday to Thursday. I hadn't done Friday yet. Um, Monday and Tuesday happened. Today's Wednesday, it's still happening. So I'm going to go through Friday to Tuesday. Now, where it stands, you know, up until that point, I was still kind of, it's a slippery slope as far as Cassie, right? I initially thought we were going to go in and Cassie was going to be the smoking gun and shut all this stuff down. What's going to trip her up, obviously, were the text messages. Um, Unfortunately, though, because it's early in the game, you know, it can still do this. You know, while the text messages may undermine some of what Cassie has said up until this point, um, Don Ricard and I believe Aubrey O'Day, as well as um, the next stripper who was also pulled in under the guise that he was going to dance, but came in and realized, oh, he's being paid to be watched having sex with Cassie. I said earlier, this is a racketeering slash RICO case, human trafficking case. When you get to the part about the hiring the strippers from one area, they're coming in thinking they're going to dance. And so far, every dancer, that's their profession, every entertainer, that's their profession, has got up on that stand and maintained the same story. They were commissioned under the guise that they were going to be dancing for a party. They get there, and it's essentially prostitution. That's a crime. Also, at this point, you know, there's always going to be some thoughts where you're like, I don't know if this really qualifies for that. Which the point of a trial, you're not going to get just what you think satisfies, one or both of the areas. They're calling everybody that's being subpoenaed. Personal assistants, um, adult entertainers, employers, chefs, bodyguards, security, everybody. Because the part about the racketeering is they want to explore the network. And at this point, you have women that he has dated or laid with in addition to Cassie. So there's massive amounts of overlap, no pun intended. Then you have members of Danity Kane. You have Kalina Harper from Dirty Money. And as far as Don Ricard and Kalina Harper, while Kalina Harper has maintained the same position, I've said to myself early on, I think he's buying her. Um, but again, that also can be exposed at some point if I know the feds like I know the feds. Don Ricard, on the other hand, about 85-90% of that does not fall into those two categories. Diddy can be explosive. Diddy can be forceful. Diddy can be a lot of things that have led to a lot of different experiences and outcomes for a lot of these women. Um, but in my opinion, Dawn Ricard and Kalina Harper are probably the lightest weight as far as a smoking gun. Um, Cassie is still the main event, and everything that she has exposed is going to be explored during the trial. And every person associated with her, while she may not, while it may go one way or another as far as what the jury may think, when you get to Diddy's personal assistant for about the 2 years that explains the the trail or the setup, the trail leading up to the setup of the rooms in Trump Tower, other hotel rooms that he put the personal assistant in charge of, the details as far as what's in the bags, what, the different kind of women that came through, not just Cassie. And then you add to that, the Suge Knight situation, the guns in the lab, especially, which are not registered. And you add to that having your employees hooked up to lie detectors on some like Nino Brown, New Jack City shit because you think they stole some of your items. Ugh. That sounds like intimidation. That definitely sounds like a network, a financial network, especially when you get to the part of using money, using money to set all of this up, and then it not coming or you not wanting it to come from. Oh, here's the thing. Here's where we are with that. You are using cash using cash to fund and pay for all of this hotel room stuff and the shenanigans and the accoutrement. We'll say accoutrement. So use the assistant, the personal assistant that was his assistant for about 2 years, said that he, the man that's on trial, wanted to use cash because he didn't want any paper trail saying that it came from Bad Boy. And he didn't want a paper trail going to Bad Boy. Um, I think it's a smoking gun, y'all. Now look, I'm no Brian Gumble, I'm no Nancy Grace, but it there was some explosive stuff happening this week so far. From the personal assistant, from the next entertainer that was up there and he wrote a book, but also from Cassie's mom, who, while she was on the stand, talked about she was forced to take out a $20,000 home equity loan because apparently there was allegedly some kind of tape. I think that Diddy either had or Diddy won it, and somewhere in there, this was during the Kid Cudi era. Kid Cudi and Cassie were dating, kind of not dating, and there was some kind of tape or sex tape, and allegedly Diddy was leaning on Cassie's mom to pressing her for $20,000. She went through the whole thing, got the $20,000 out, and all of a sudden, nothing. That could play into blackmail or racketeering. Not quite sure. But her mom, while Cassie may or may not be the smoking gun at this point, because like I said, the text messages were tripping her up, the fact that her mom could corroborate most of her story as far as the abuse, and I mean, we all saw the video. Um, the situation with Kid Cudi, she saw the bruising, she saw the marks, um, and it was clear to her that her daughter feared for her life. The part about the $20,000 over a tape, that's that's pretty damning evidence. And of course, during the course of the trial, right now, it's going. We're like, oh well, is it? Is it going to be a stain on the defense, or is it going to be a heavy pull for the prosecutor? I'm keeping track, and I'm like, it could be. It's about neck and neck at this point. This is only the second week. So far, the strippers that have come up on the stand, almost at stage, have maintained the same narrative, which each one of their testimonies satisfies the human trafficking the portion, or the human trafficking side, which is you are bringing people in for prostitution. We're dancers. We only come to dance and that's it. No. And you got to remember the theme here throughout all of this is what I said on an earlier video. consequence and intimidation and coercion. Given that there is so far a habit or a tradition of if you don't do this, this will happen, Cassie. And you got to think in other areas, other women that he's been with, female employees, um, even his personal assistant for 2 years with the lie detector test over some watches and some other bullshit. This is one wacky ass dude. And then you add in the funding. You don't want a paper trail linked to Bad Boy for all of these exploits and the exploit accoutrement. You don't want Bad Boy to be part of this. And you looping in security guards and bodyguards and your security team and personal assistants into this this diner Suge Knight situation while you have unregistered guns sitting in your lap. Um, that too can fall into racketeering. I'm gonna keep watching and I'm gonna keep coming back to y'all with some of this stuff because it's just this is something for the books. Like you it is the second week. They've probably called 8 or 9 people at this point. They're continuing to call people right damn now. If you're still trying to reconcile your conspiracy theories, because you don't know these people, this theory that, oh, at the end of the day, it's her husband that's putting her up to this and all this other stuff. And oh, he's just being put on trial to for his freaky lifestyle. Um, there are other layers to this. And yes, while he may not be nailed to the cross in this particular trial for domestic violence and SA, um, because those are not the charges. That's not the point of the trial. Um, there are other things, especially from her mother and that personal assistant, that is just the tip of the iceberg. And I really want you crusty lip, shit stain in the drawers, thinking MFers to like get it together. Like that ship has sailed. There is just 2 weeks in, and it's just not. That's just not the case anymore. I'm Mr. Fox Southie's podcast. I thought I'd come up on here and get live with y'all for a bit, and then go back to minding my African American business until tomorrow. I will see you guys later, and I will be sure to give you what you need. In the meantime, between time, follow, subscribe to the YouTube, get into the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and I will catch you guys later.